There are things you remember from childhood that don't feel like memories at all, more like sensations that still live in your body. A tightening in your chest when someone raises their voice, a sudden fear of making mistakes, a need to stay quiet even when something hurts. If any of that feels familiar, this video is for you. Because what you experienced wasn't just strict parenting, it was something that quietly reshaped your brain. Fear-based parenting doesn't always look dramatic or abusive from the outside. Sometimes it looks like constant warnings, harsh consequences, love that feels conditional, or the unspoken rule that you're only safe when you're obedient. As a child, you don't question it, you adapt, because adapting is how you survive. What most parents never realize is that a child's brain is not designed to grow under fear. It's designed to grow under safety, curiosity, and connection. When fear becomes the main teaching tool, the brain learns a very different lesson, one that often follows a person well into adulthood. If you're finding this conversation meaningful so far, I gently invite you to subscribe to Mind Grooming. This channel is a quiet space for understanding ourselves, healing old patterns, and learning how psychology really shapes our lives, and I'd love to have you here. When a child grows up in a fear-based environment, their nervous system is almost always on high alert. Their brain spends more time scanning for danger than exploring the world. Over time, this changes how different parts of the brain develop, especially the areas responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and trust. The amygdala, the part of the brain that detects threat, becomes overactive. That means the child feels danger even when none is present. A neutral tone can feel like anger, a small mistake can feel like disaster, and silence can feel unsafe. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning, impulse control, and emotional balance, doesn't get the calm environment it needs to grow strong. Fear floods the system with stress hormones, and when stress becomes constant, learning and emotional growth take a backseat. This is why children raised in fear often appear well-behaved on the surface. They follow rules, they don't talk back, they try not to be a problem. But inside, their brain is learning something heartbreaking. That safety comes from staying small. They don't learn how to trust their own judgment. They learn how to anticipate reactions. They don't learn how to express emotions. They learn how to suppress them. And suppression over time doesn't make feelings disappear. It just pushes them deeper into the body. As these children grow older, fear-based wiring often shows up in subtle ways. Chronic anxiety, people-pleasing, perfectionism, emotional numbness, or an intense fear of failure. Many adults blame themselves for these struggles without realizing they were trained into them. One of the most painful effects of fear-based parenting is how it shapes a child's relationship with mistakes. In a fearful environment, mistakes are not opportunities to learn. They are threats to safety, love, or acceptance. So the brain begins to associate growth with danger. Trying something new feels terrifying. Speaking up feels risky. Even resting can feel wrong because the nervous system is used to staying alert, ready to avoid punishment or disappointment. Fear-based parenting also disrupts attachment. When love feels conditional, children don't feel safe being fully themselves. They learn to perform instead of connect. This can lead to adults who deeply crave closeness but are terrified of vulnerability. You might notice this pattern in relationships. Wanting reassurance but feeling uncomfortable receiving it. Longing to be seen but fearing rejection the moment you show your true feelings. These are not character flaws. They are survival strategies learned early. Another quiet effect is emotional confusion. When children are punished or shamed for emotions, the brain doesn't learn how to process feelings. It learns to fear them. This can result in adults who feel overwhelmed by emotions or disconnected from them entirely. The brain becomes excellent at avoidance. Avoiding conflict, avoiding confrontation, avoiding anything that might trigger that old familiar sense of danger. On the outside, it may look like calmness. On the inside, it's exhaustion. What makes this topic especially important is that many parents use fear unintentionally. They believe fear creates discipline, respect, or strength. But the brain doesn't register fear as guidance. It registers it as threat. A child under fear is not learning values. They are learning compliance. And compliance is not the same as confidence, emotional intelligence, or resilience. In fact, true resilience only develops in environments where a child feels safe enough to fail and try again. If any of this is resonating with you, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. You can share in the comments what stood out, or even a small reflection from your own childhood. You never know who else might read it and feel less alone. The hopeful part of this conversation is that the brain is not fixed. Neuroplasticity means those fear-based patterns can change. Awareness is the first step, and compassion is the second. When adults begin to understand where their reactions come from, the brain slowly learns a new story. That not every raised voice means danger. That mistakes don't equal rejection. That rest is allowed. That emotions can be felt without punishment. Healing doesn't mean blaming parents or reliving pain. It means gently recognizing what shaped you and choosing something different now. Every moment of self-awareness sends a new signal of safety to the nervous system. If you're a parent watching this knowledge can be powerful. Choosing calm over fear doesn't make children weak. It helps their brains grow strong, flexible, and emotionally secure. It teaches them to trust themselves instead of fearing consequences. And if you're watching this as someone healing their inner child, I want you to know something important. The fear you learned was adaptive. It helped you survive. But you don't need it in the same way anymore. If this video brought clarity or comfort, consider sharing it with someone who might need these words. Sometimes one video can open a door to understanding that's been locked for years. As we close, take a quiet moment to notice how your body feels right now. That awareness alone is a step towards safety. And if this kind of reflection speaks to you, stay with mind grooming, because these conversations are just the beginning.